We're back.
Yeah, look at
Adam
that.
Huber, Shelly Gaddis, Marketing Monday. We are short on time because these two very important folks got Steff,
Heck yeah.
Shelly,
That's right.
very important people, and we're going to try and condense this down in just a 50-minute talk. But
It's going to be hard.
Steff has convinced me that she's have you just eat that microphone.
Oh, I'll be all over
Okay,
this.
awesome. Steff has convinced me that she is fully woo person and that she is going to try and convince me to like her throughout this entire podcast. Shelly already likes me a lot, so I don't need to work on that at all. But
Most days.
for you guys who don't know what this is Marketing Monday. Shelly and I decided to start this because there was a little place here in town called The Bakery that used to do
Yep.
Marketing Monday every Monday. A little bit of a different scenario. At the bakery, it was a round table where anybody could come in and ask any marketing questions that they had. And this is, we bring in specific people, maybe not always to ask marketing questions and to give our opinion on it, but sometimes just to get to know who people are, because the whole point and reason why we wanted to do this in the first place was we just kind of missed talking to the entrepreneurial community of Sioux Falls. And so we decided to do this. So today we have Steff. Steff and I have had literally like 2 minutes to
no
meet.
time to meet each other. We'll be
So,
best friends when we're done.
We'll see. So, Steff, tell the world, the couple 5 people that are watching this, who you are, what you do, why we care about your woo.
Why you care? For what? No, just kidding. I am not. So yeah, I'm Steff Holtrop. I've been an entrepreneur in this community for since 2007. I can't do the math on that. That's why.
Well, that'd be 13 years.
A long
He's
time.
about as old as Adam was when he was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm 30. Like,
You're so young. You were so young.
lots of energy and vigor and everything. So that's what I bring to the table. Now, what are you bringing to this table
So
besides
yes.
tons of entrepreneurial
So
experience?
tons of entrepreneurs. I own 3 local businesses here in Sioux Falls.
Excellent.
I have my first baby is a medical magazine that goes to doctors across the state.
Okay.
We've been around since 2000, but I've been with it since 2007. And then I have the parenting magazine called Hood.
Okay.
And it's not like under your hood of a car. It's like parenthood, childhood, familyhood,
All right.
doghood. Do you have kids? Or are you too young for that yet?
All right. Well, I've got 2 boys.
Hold.
One is almost 4. He'll be 4 in May. And then the other one is almost 4 months old.
Oh, so you're not sleeping. Or maybe.
Oh no, he sleeps plenty. Poor
Yeah.
Jess.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Got it.
that whole thing.
That's how
Yeah, I
that
got
works.
Let's not dive into the whole
We're not gonna-
parenthood section of this.
We're not going to get into that per se, but yes. So Parenthood, so it's a parenting resource for families in the community. We go home in backpacks at schools and daycares. So depending on what, we do not go home in the Sioux Falls School District, but the outside lying communities that
Okay.
drive traffic into our community.
Yep.
And then we have Family Fest, which is a one-day event in July. That's about 8 to 10,000 people, and we donate money to Children's Miracle Network from it.
8
So-
to 10,000 people. That's kind of a small, like, why would you even bother with something that small?
Right? Right? And we want to grow it. But yes, it's you know, like you open that gate and we literally, if you watch one of our videos, you just see families just pouring in on that day. And it's a lot of people coming in at once. And then you can watch like them segregate from one area to the next as they like, and the smart people know like everybody's going that way. We're going to hit this side and then work opposite. So
Got to work the floor. That's what you got to do.
it is.
So what got you so interested in doing, like, parenting stuff?
That's really funny.
He really doesn't know the story.
No, he doesn't. Okay. So, I had a friend once who another entrepreneur business we were doing, and I stumbled upon a store called Elegant Mommy. I know. Funny. Have you ever heard of it?
You ever heard of it?
And met Shelly back in 2009. And she was running Elegant Mommy. She knew I had magazine background because I had a medical magazine, and we said we should start a parenting magazine together. So we actually used to be partners.
Who came up with the name Hood?
Actually, my friend Gretchen did.
Yeah, we had like a panel of parents that we like put it out there, and we're doing like market research kind of stuff, and that was one of the
names, and it was the original way it was supposed to be was like Hood, and then it had parent, child, family, because and neighborhood, grandparenthood. I mean, it's all
I kind of like it.
yeah. And you hear it once you hear it, you're like, oh, that makes sense. But if you don't know it, we originally did like Sioux Falls families or Sioux Empire families, which is great too. But it's just it really locked us into Sioux Falls. So if we ever want to expand it outside of this market, open it up for other potential.
Smart.
And it like clicks with people more. You know, like it catches your attention. It's like
Yeah.
a little bit edgy, but not super
Crazy.
edgy.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and it, we have it now, so it's like Sue Empire's parenting resource under the hood name, so it makes sense of how it ties all together.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Super fun.
So
that's
that's been going for how many years now?
we launched it the end of July in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just out of,
So you just launched our 10th year first issue.
man, that is crazy.
It's
Isn't it?
been a long time.
I don't even know if I've
And-
committed.
And I launched it before I had children, but I had Shelly, so that went a long way.
Yeah, I mean, Shelly kind of knows what she's talking about when it comes
I
to
mean, at the
children.
time.
So, I guess one question I have for you, just kind of right off the top of my head, is: are you concerned at all or interested at all about the life expectancy of like magazines going forward?
That's a great question. I've actually was in North Carolina all weekend with my partner for my medical magazine. We were talking about that. So we've been really working on this the last couple of years, and every survey we send out asking people, because we have the print version and the digital version, which one would you like, print or digital? Hands down, it's like 80 to 90% every time everybody wants the print version. So it's really interesting because my readers, all for medical and parenting, two totally different niches to everything, still want that tangible, something to hold, something that leaves an impact on you. It's just something that you can keep around, rip out a page, you put it on your fridge, something like that. And it's not just a split second blink that you follow it on social media or
Yep.
a quick blink. And so it's a very interesting thing because everybody wants to do digital, but they don't know what digital is.
Mm-hmm.
And yet all of our readers want print. So it is something, and it's an interesting thing. Do I worry about it going away? No, I don't, because we have digital platforms all set up to follow it. We have e-newsletters, we have digital stuff, we have social media platforms. So really, we've just have everything now for our clients more than just print.
Gotcha.
But our biggest viewership is still print.
Does your, and I'm really sorry that I'm taking over most of the podcast yet again, but
He wants to. I have to win him over. We got some
He
work to do.
always
yeah, I mean, she's got to build up that ladder. Okay, so does your demo skew slightly older? Just out of curiosity, or have you done a?
For which
Yep.
one?
For which one?
Oh, sorry, the magazine.
What?
Which magazine?
The medical or the parenting one?
The parenting
The
one.
consumer-driven one. The,
Yep.
the medical one's different because it's business to business.
Yep.
So it's a whole different industry versus a consumer. So we're and that in itself is completely different. The consumer one, no, we average about 26 to 45 if you our yearly surveys, and they have 2 to 3 children. 96% of our readership is women. Demographic is 50,000 more or higher. So
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
is it not?
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is.
and I wasn't gonna sit here and act like magazines are dead. Like you need
no,
to switch.
but it is. No, it's marketing. Let's talk about. That was my one thing when you said what question. That was the first one that went through my head.
That's why I get paid the big dollars. I'm already drawing out the questions that you didn't even know yourself that you were gonna bring in here. Man,
Wait a
this
minute.
is just
What did you pay him?
Well, nothing because I haven't met him yet.
Well, I would just like to quickly take this moment to recognize our sponsor, Main Street Media House, Joshua Novak.
Yeah, thanks for the payment of nothing.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me borrow your $4,000 camera.
It's really. What do I need to
Just
be?
sniff
Maybe
it,
I need to go
actually.
woo Josh over. Bye,
Yeah.
Adam. It was nice meeting you.
I'm not the center
Yeah,
person
Josh
here.
is definitely by far way more influential than him or I are. So.
Way
Maybe
more.
I need to go woo Josh over when we get done here.
You send as much woo as you want to over there. You put an extra O on there, not
Extra.
just 2 O's.
He needs some woo.
Yeah, need some woo on this dreary Monday morning.
I know.
So the interesting thing is, the reason why I kind of perked my interest about the magazine part is because I actually got sent a copy of Entrepreneur magazine for unsolicited. It just came in the mail. And I remember picking that thing up and I was like, man, I haven't read a magazine in a really long time. I read a lot of books, but I haven't read a magazine in a while. And there's something about a magazine where it's kind of like podcasts. Podcasts to me are like condensed versions of books where you can learn a lot of varying different bits of information in a short amount of time, and you can listen to it. Like you can obviously listen to an audiobook,
Right.
and you get the full learning experience and everything like that from all the little angles that the author's trying to get at.
Right.
But a magazine is almost kind of like, and a podcast are almost like sub deals of that. You take all the information from a book and you kind of condense it down, and that's neither good nor bad. It's just a different way of kind of going about it. And I remember reading the Entrepreneur magazine. I'm like, kind of thinking about subscribing to it, because everybody knows to be an actual, real, true entrepreneur, you have to subscribe to Entrepreneur Magazine and Fortune 500 and everything like that. Forbes. You just haven't made it quite yet.
Apparently not. I can't say I have one to Forbes 500. I would do the entrepreneur one because I'm always interested in learning, and you don't ever know, and it's so hard to tell when you're in entrepreneurship, like where the road leads you. It's just a crazy, crazy, crazy road. But it's something about that tangibility. Like it's almost like I can type notes on my computer, but if I actually handwrite out the notes, it sticks.
Yep.
That's just me personally and how I learn.
Same way.
But it's so interesting with the print. It is a tangible item. It's something you can keep for later. And that's why we go home in backpacks, because when it's their folder that they take home in. So when parents are going through all their children's stuff, it's a resource for them, and we try to make sure we have really important call outs on the cover or stick to like a holiday theme so it pulls to their attention. But then we also give them other resources on social media. We're driving them to events. I mean, we're kind of making sure we circumference ourselves with all the media outlets to make sure. And then it's interesting too, in the consumer parenting world, we've seen other like-minded Facebook, podcasts, websites where they've done similar to our model, but they don't have the print component and they don't survive. They haven't lasted. Where we have that extra print component, whether it works, whether they're related or not, I'm not sure. But I've just noticed there's a few of them. They might only have 300 followers on Facebook or 400, where we're over 7,000, steadily growing.
All right.
So I don't know if that has a component that sticks to it, because we're constantly driving traffic in between each other and intermixing.
Yeah. No.
So,
that's what it.
I think
get you in
for
here.
me, it's interesting.
Get in the ring.
Like the print need as a parent is there, and that was one thing. Like when we started it, that was the number one piece of feedback. And honestly, I think it's relevant 10 years later still. Like, when do you read a magazine as a parent? Like, you probably don't read a lot of magazine in general, but like. When you're reading a magazine, it's in between doctor's appointments or sitting in the school pickup line or like that kind of stuff you pick up and you'll like read a couple articles out of it or something. And so it was really important to us. Like you'll notice Hood, like if you see it at Hy-Vee or other places you can pick it up, it's a smaller version because we want it to be able to fit into we wanted it to be able to fit into purses and backpacks and that diaper bags, that kind of thing. Yep. There's a calendar in there. Like it's all stuff that's relevant. And so it's the thing about print is it's a totally different way as a business person to be able to get a market, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, when's the last time you read a newspaper? Never. Like, or a very long time ago, right? Like, it's just not a thing. And I'm not saying that rudely. I'm just saying, like, how many parents that are from 26 to 45 go out and pick up the Argus Leader? The only time I ever read it is if I'm sitting at the hospital or if I'm sitting, somewhere.
That it's right
and
next
it's sitting right there. But I'm not going to go pick up a copy of it. The generation before us, like our parents' generation, they got the newspaper every freaking day of their life. Like, that was the thing, right? And so it's just a whole different way. If you're looking, every business has a certain amount of marketing budget, right? And there's
only so much to go around. Yeah.
Right. And there's certain demographics that you want to have print in. You know what I mean? Like you have to have something that stands out and that kind of, I personally think, especially now that Hood's been around for quite some time, like it gives you kind of that rep of like, they're legit. Like they've made it enough that they have like a nice looking print ad in a quality magazine, and you know what I mean? Like, so anyway, I just think you have to have kind of that mixture of no business is ever going to survive doing just print. No business is ever going to survive just doing social media. No business is ever going to survive doing just radio. You kind of have to have that mixture of it. And for that certain demographic, this is a good option for print for them because in our area, there isn't a whole lot of other options where you are going to meet parents.
Mm-hmm.
We had a client say to us, it's a new business in town, just started up brick and mortar, didn't have a relationship established, and we're working with them. And they were with us for a year, and he said, if you would have asked me a year ago when we opened if your magazine was going to be our best resource, I would have laughed at you. He goes, but you are our absolute best resource, not only from the publication, just the way you treat us, the way you like stop us and look at what's best for us and not always what's best for you. So it comes back to relationships too. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's so important with marketing is relationships of who you know. And so I mean, it came straight from our client's mouth, which was really exciting and interesting to hear. And we do a lot of events in the community besides our big one, where you hear parents like, yeah, I got that, or I didn't get that issue, or we read hood front to cover, or, you know, some of our businesses be like, we have to be in your summer camp issue, what we're working on now, because it's the only way that we find our summer camps. We even said we had ladies call us once, they're like, where's the camp issue? I'm like, it's on our website. She goes, no, I need 10 hard copies because we sit around as a bunch of moms and plan our whole summer. I was like, okay, well, they'll be out this week.
Can you print it off the website?
Well, you can. And that's things that we changed too. Like you said, it's in our print version, but now we've added it so our summer camps stay on our website pretty much almost all year.
Yeah.
Or we have a birthday directory that's up there so that we can then drop those into social media outlets that then drive back to our website.
No, I hope it's not coming across like I think it's like a fallacy or anything like that, because I just find it really actually super interesting to be talking about this, because it's just a whole different component
of marketing.
Of marketing. And I've got a couple of questions, but when you talk about the first one I want to tackle is when you talk about your client, you're talking about someone who is paying for advertising in that magazine?
Yep.
My question to you is, how are you selective at all about what kind of businesses that you want in those magazines? Like, are you hitting up the bars in town and saying, you know, you should be advertising the business? So on that point, like, how do you research out businesses that you think would actually be beneficial to advertise in that magazine?
So we're very niche to that per se, because I bet in the 10 years, I've turned down $10,000 to $20,000 in advertising we could have had in the magazine. But we've kind of have some strict guidelines of like no sex, drugs, or religion, because we do go home in backpacks at schools and daycares. And if there is an ad in there, like Olivia's or a bar or whatever, that a parent is not ready, or we go home in the Catholic schools, we have to be very careful, because we don't want to send something home that's going to piss a parent off.
Yep.
So, and our strategy too is that when we do go home in the schools, we're getting right to those parents, which is a strategy we took from the very get-go. I mean, we've been in some of these schools for 10 years. So we work very closely, and if there's one that's in the gray area, we talk to the schools and say, is this okay or not? Like, we had some come out on vaping, and I was like, ooh. And so we called the schools and we're like, what's your stance? And they're like, we would love this on the backpacks, because we need parents to know, especially middle schoolers, what vaping even is, because most of them didn't even know. Mm-hmm. So we really work close with some of them. And basically anything that's a family-friendly business is what we've kind of really look for, because or a resource, like a chiropractor, dentist, vision, swimming lessons, dance parties, or like birthday parties, things like that families are going to need to know about.
All right. So my secondary, did you have any follow-up to that? My secondary question to that, well, it's not really a follow-up question to that, but is when you started Amico, is that the doctor one? Is that what you said?
Med?
Wow. I was
where the heck did you get Amico?
I have no idea, but Med, was that your first foray into like magazines and everything like that? Like, how did you decide to yourself, like, I'm going to start a magazine?
Luck.
Luck?
Right place, right time, I should say, not luck. So I used to do marketing for a doctor, and I was looking for an avenue to put him in. This was 13 years ago, and I had stumbled across my partner I still have today from my medical magazine. And I am, as you can tell, an extrovert, and I love people. And my partner is an introvert, and she likes to just be behind the scenes. And she was moving to North Carolina, and I was very young. I know when I went to publish my first magazine.
Like 30?
No, I was young. I think I published
way younger than me.
Yeah, I think I published my first magazine when I was 23, maybe 24. So I remember when I went to training, I was the youngest person by 15 years there. Oh no, I got squirreled. What was my question?
So
how'd you get in?
So I just met her, and we were at a coffee shop, and she's like, "Would you like to be my partner?" And she trained me the ropes on magazines, and then when I got that, then I had that one up and running, and Shelly came to me and she said, do you want to work on a parenting magazine? We really need one in this market. There isn't one here like this. So we made one from scratch there. But the funny part is, I'm a terrible writer. I do not like to write it.
My grammar skills could use some improving, as my business partner loves to point out to me pretty much constantly.
Oh, don't you worry. I could, like I said, I could talk for hours to you on this. But if you said, can you write this all down? No.
So did you have to figure out how to structure a magazine, like figure out you yourself, or is this more of your business partners?
No, because the model that she was using when I first met her, it wasn't like a franchise. You didn't own the rights to an area, but you had like a target area that you worked with, and then we sent everything out to a company in Arizona. So I went down there and they trained me on some stuff in that. But then they, in 2010, switched their model, and we just knew in this market it wouldn't survive. We checked with all of our clients, and the market they were switching to was not going to survive. So then we created Med from scratch. We had left the former company's name and created Med from scratch. At the same time, I was launching Hood. So I had to self-teach. Well, between Shelly, Alex, and I self-teach everything. Like what printer we're going to use, to what designer we were going to use, to how many pages we're going to do, and what's the best page count, and the best break on pages, and layout-wise, what's the best content. All of it was self-taught. So you learn a lot of lessons you'll never do again. And sometimes you get lucky and you get like these really great ideas that you're just randomly brainstorming. And
wow, so 2010 must have been quite an exciting year.
And I got married in the middle. So yeah, it was like we launched Med in April, married in June, and Hood came out the end of July.
Did you guys buy the fourplex that year too?
That was in August of 2009. We had bought a fourplex too that we were,
So they were renting and
man.
they became landlords
Sounds
that year too.
Sounds so familiar, just getting everything done in 1 year.
Is that what you did?
Yeah, twice.
Both times you had children, you did that?
Yeah. So
that's a big sigh.
Little bit of a background story on me. I started up a local detailing business and moved from Pierre.
Oh wait, you're that Adam Huber.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I just put that together. When you said detailing, I knew what your business was.
Yeah.
I had seen your name and posts and people talk detail of you, but I did not put two and two together.
It's totally fine.
Okay. Sorry.
So we moved from Pierre down to Beersford, bought our house, had a kid, started up that detailing business, all of that in 2000.
Why Beersford?
Because my wife, she worked for the state at the time as an auditor. And the farthest north that she could live from her home base, which was Vermilion, was Beersford. Like the farthest she could live north or away from that location was 30 minutes.
Okay.
So Beersford actually ended up working out really well for us because we ended up buying a pretty decent house down there for a pretty fair price. My parents live in Alcester, so they were just 10 minutes away.
I'm from Alcester.
Shut the front door.
I was going to say, I'm from Alcester. That's why did you pick Beersford?
So.
And there's the woo. You just
No.
You just inserted the key and like.
Because I never said I really cared for Alcester.
My parents still live there. I'm not good.
But I graduated from Alcester in 2007.
When did you move to Alcester?
In 2005-ish. I finished out high school there.
Okay. Which there's no longer the high school's now in the middle school or the elementary school.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
They just moved it
Apparently
all together.
That's how much you care about Alcester.
Right.
Yeah. Let's not get into that.
Yeah, that's for another day.
But so living in Beersford really wasn't too bad of a compromise.
And you're close to Grandpa and Grandma.
Yeah, and close to Grandma and Grandpa. Like, it was a great setup. And then here just this year in August, I started up another business called Clarity Coat, a different business. I'm no longer a part of the detailing business anymore. So I started up a Clarity Coat, and then we had Jonathan, my second son, and we moved from an apartment to a house. So we just bought another house.
In Beersford?
No, I'm in Sioux Falls now.
Oh, in Sioux Falls.
So now we're in Sioux Falls.
Hey, but if you sold your house at the right time in Beersford, there's a huge shortage of houses there. So if you could have...
We did okay on it.
Yeah, there's shortage of houses because they keep bringing in all that stuff there, and there's no places for people to live.
Yeah, a really good buy right now would be Beersford real estate. And almost everything there is pretty outdated too.
Yeah, or Alcester, even just the surrounding Centerville, Alcester, that surrounding community. Yep. I've just heard from people because around a quick side note, around the town is owned by a bunch of farmland, so they can't grow.
Yep, a lot of old boys that don't necessarily want to sell out the farmland.
Well, a couple of years and old boys won't have a choice.
Yeah, they'll be in the ground.
That's my point.
Fertilizer. So
okay, on that note, side check. Okay.
So yeah, now we have tons in common. That I'm still holding off reservations on you. Just kidding.
Jeez, we went. I can't even think what years my brothers graduated from high school. 2000. Does a Tyler Bush or a Jake Bush?
Oh my Lanta!
Are we getting
Tyler
close?
Bush?
That's my brother.
Oh boy.
All right, let's do this afterwards here.
I'm pretty sure I
don't want to
graduated
hear
Tyler
any
Bush.
of your
Yeah,
nasty.
I'm positive
high
I
school stories.
graduated Tyler Bush. So.
So I'm sure you've been to my family farm then.
No, I wasn't. More on that later. But
Okay.
I won. Just kidding. No, just kidding. What's the next question?
I won.
yeah. What's the next question, Shelly? Spotlight's
So
on.
I actually do have a question.
Oh,
So when you how do you feel like the transition from print to more digital has been specifically for Hood? Like, I know a little bit of the background of this, but like when I stepped away from Hood, it was still all
Solid print. We didn't have a website. We didn't have nothing.
So like,
well, in
how
2010.
and right, which was normal. But
Yeah.
I mean, and I stepped away in what, 11, 12,
11.
somewhere in there. So like, at what point was it, and how did you decide that like you really needed to bring it more online? Were you having advertisers ask for it, or did you guys just decide it was something you need, and then how did you market it to hit that whole different audience?
I remember we launched our website because, why would we do it simple? It was the year Jackson was first year of Jackson. So Jackson was born in 12. So it would have been through that next summer we were working on it. So it would have been like around 12. We would have had our website up and going already because we knew we needed. No, we would have had one going already. We had a website when we launched it in 2010 because we used that one guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh, that's ahead of the curve for sure.
We had a website in 2010 because that one guy made it. I can't think of his name. And then we had an intern. We had an intern take over for a little bit, but then in 12 we moved. We work with a company out of California for our website. We try to do everything local. We print out of Mankato. We try to print everything as close as we can, or use any local stuff we can. But we picked this company out of California because they specialize in print publications. Like, they work for print publications across the whole states.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to use them as what's next or ahead of the curve, or where you get resources, ideas, and tips. We don't always use them, but we try to take them and give our own twist to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, a prime example, too, is our medical magazine. We launched this digital partnership 2 years ago, and it's been highly, highly successful. And it was something they were kind of drilling into us for 2 years, but we couldn't figure out the right way to make it work for us. And then we finally had figured out a system that worked. We would have had one, but it would have been in 12, 13. We really started diving deep into the website because we could see it was coming. But also, we knew that the print version's there, but we also, our calendar's very, very intense. Not I don't know the word, not tense.
Packed. There's a ton of stuff.
It's packed. I mean, there'll be a period we'll have 1,200 events in 2 months on our calendar. They're all family friendly.
Wow.
So, and we only put like 120 in print. So there's a lot of events because we're very event, family focused driven, and so we knew we needed something that was going to be able to robust to accommodate all of that. I mean, our calendar, you can sort by age, color, category, but then also add it to your personal calendar because we're all busy parents, and we knew, like, if it's not on the calendar, it might not happen. So we have that option to add it right to your calendar. So we've been trying to find those things that we had to really, really add to the complexity of it. And then the digital version, we've had that going for a while too. It's been so long. That we just knew that not everybody's going to read the print version, and we want to be able to have access to we want parents to have access to us at any time. So if they're up nursing in the middle of the night and they're looking for what's going to do for their older kids or any of that stuff, we want to be able to reach them. Or, if it's in the car at the pickup line, they don't have access to the print version, but they can read the digital version right in their hands with social media. So we just had to really tweak all the digital outlets. So we try to tell people when they work with us, they're getting the print version, our digital version, our website, our social media outlets. They're getting a whole bunch versus just one touch point.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's really forward thinking in the way that, I mean, if you were doing a website in 2010, which it's not like websites were like a foreign thing by 2010, but it wasn't something that magazines really concerned themselves with back in 2010.
There's still magazines now that don't have, they have just a basic website. They don't have integrated, ones like we do.
Right. So at what time did you start putting in the effort and time and energy into doing Facebook, Instagram, and whatever social media that you're primarily focusing on? Like, what years do you think you started doing that?
Gosh.
Is it really when Jacqueline came on?
No, Jillian was doing it beforehand. So right when Chloe Bell was born. So she was born in 15. So I'd say probably 14, 15, we really started pushing social media. And it's almost like we have to intercompete with ourselves per se, because we have the print version, the digital version, the website, and social media. So we have to, and they almost intercompete with each other because just because you read the print version doesn't mean you're following us on social media. We have parents who only read our print version ever and don't do anything with our social media or website. And we have at the opposite, they only may be on our website and social media and may never touch our print version.
Yeah.
So we just know that we have to have all of the above. So we've almost created ourselves, 4 times more work than just a print publication. But we know it's needed.
But I think that's true for every single business. Like if you relate it to like a retail business, for instance, like it's almost impossible to have a retail business that you have a brick and mortar, that you don't also have a website that you're selling your products on. And in the last 3, 4, 5 years, like it's impossible to not have a social media store as well. Like if you have a retail store and you don't have a Facebook store, or you're not selling on Instagram or Etsy or, whatever, you're there. I don't know how you're making it. Like, I don't know how you're growing, I guess, because that's where you're growing.
Just be a brick and mortar store anymore. Right. People are going to come into your store. I mean, online shopping has just become craziness.
Well, and it needs to all be able to interlink into each other, because the way that you're promoting your like in my case, like the way that you're promoting your retail store on social media, those people are seeing that. And if you're relying on them to get in their car and drive down to your store to actually purchase that, you're never in a million years going to make it. Versus if you make it super simple and easy for them to one-touch click purchase it, thank you, Amazon, that's how you're going to get that sale, right? Otherwise, they're going to go on to Amazon and find the exact same thing and purchase it. Yeah. And I can't even tell you how many times that happened to me in retail, where, if before we had everything integrated well between our website and social media and everything, like somebody would post something somewhere and say they got this awesome new toy that they bought at the store, and they'd post a picture of their kid using it, and somebody would be like, what is that? Not everybody always asks, where did you get it anymore? And I will say that that's a whole different subject of what people like. It used to always be, where did you get that? And then people would go buy it. Well, now it's, what is it? Because then people just Google it and go purchase it from the first place that shows up. But so they would say, say it's Spin Again or whatever. Then people will Google that. And if the first thing that pops up is an Amazon link, they're going to buy it off of Amazon. Versus if you can get and but if you can get your customers into the habit of being able to link back to your place or have everything readily available for them to be able to purchase and link it directly that way, it's so much quicker for people so much more likely that people are going to support local if you're giving them the same conveniences of big box, even if the price isn't the same. But if you're giving them the same convenience of it, and I think that's kind of the point of where you're going with this, like that from the digital copy is the convenience.
Hyperlinks.
It's the convenience of it.
Right to our clients. So we have that digitally. So we do the summer camps, and if you read our summer camp digitally, you can just click and go right to their website. And we try to make it too is, we've been talking about a lot of this year, is you can Google summer camps and have to click each camp and figure out their prices, their dates. We already do all the work for that. We already have prices, dates, location, time, all the information. So you only have to look in one spot, and then you can click right on it to sign up for the camp, making it easy for the parents and also a selling point for our consumers. And then when they're on their website, the one click takes them right to it as well. And we do a big holiday gift guide that's local. In addition to having it digitally, we do a big, like we did 25 days of giving away. And then when they win their prize, they have to go to the business and pick it up. They don't come to our office. We want them in those clients' buildings, whatever it is, whether it's a swimming lesson pass to a toy to a scarf or whatever. You have to go pick it up at their store. So we're getting them in their store.
Who's come up with these ideas?
My team's truly amazing, and it's evolved and changed over the years. It's not been the same, but we use those ideas and build off each other, and we do research other magazines outside of this market that are family related for ideas of how we can tweak it to fit ours. But our team, we're always coming up with, we have a new director we're going to be announcing this week that we'll be doing for parents, because we notice, we'll see on social media a trend of parents asking for the same thing over and over and over again. And we're like, we should do a directory for that, because then we can have all the resources. When people ask on social media, we go, boop, go check out Hood's site. Here you go. Here, it's all done for you.
Yep.
And then they click on the links, drives back to the clients.
Pretty brilliant, huh?
I don't understand why you're on this show.
Because you needed to learn about parenting, Adam.
Oh wow,
No, but it's
a
still-
lifelong. That's a lifelong lesson.
No, I mean, it still is a good question, though. I mean, ideally, the end of the day is we are a print publication. But what I find so interesting is I'll go meet with people and they're like, nope, we're doing all digital. I'm like, great, what are you doing? Digital? Like the consumers or the business owners aren't all quite educated of what digital is. They have no idea what digital is. Or somebody just went in to sell them like, you should do this SEO or you should do this geofencing but they really have no idea. It is so interesting to say that like, we're doing digital. Well, what are you doing? And so that's our biggest problem is that like showing them, but we have digital. We have all of those clickable links. We don't have, the geofencing targeting for that stuff. But it is our problem is getting that relationship to let them know like, but we could get them directly right to you constantly, not just in the print.
What let's just take the last 6 months. If you've had a client that you have been wanting to sign on for advertising in your magazine, what have you, and they had reasonable hesitation to wanting to do it. I don't know if magazines are quite 2020 or 2019, whatever they've said. How do you go about showing them the value of those magazines? Because I mean, I've obviously been hit up before for magazines, putting advertising in magazines and everything like that. And it's not necessarily that I was ever against it. It was more just of a fact of like, well, I'm already busy enough with what I'm doing social media wise. And it's not that I don't think magazines couldn't help out or anything like that. I just don't know if it's
worth the expense.
The ROI of it.
Yeah,
the ROI. And again, that's not to sit here and say that magazines don't work, because for really big businesses that spend a lot of money on marketing, they'll tell you, well, yeah, we do radio advertising. Well, yeah, we do TV ads. But it's because, they have like these 3 channels that provide them the best ROI. So do you allow them to do like a 3-month run to say, hey, let's just try this out for 3 months and you tell me if you get any value out of it, or what's your value? Like, how do you get them to sign up?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's timing, budget, marketing person. Like you could be working with a business for 10 years and they switch marketing people and they don't believe in print, or vice versa. They never did print and now you're doing print, or owners switch or whatever. Some of that just has to do with relationships and has nothing to do with marketing.
Yep.
In honesty.
Yep.
Like you said, if you and I were best friends before when you were doing detailing, and I said, let's do a whole section on detailing a car and do a giveaway each month for a mom to win a car giveaway by doing a promotion of the ugliest car or the messiest or whatever it beats, and then show a before and after and what you did in a testimonial, it'd be a different conversation. So we really try to go in, and content's huge. Content marketing is a new word that's trending and hot, and so we do a lot with them too. It's not just your print ad; it's also content marketing.
Yep, and that is actually something that I did do with a couple of different magazines. Was, they wanted me to come on as an advertiser, and I said, listen, I'm not going to pay for an ad inside of a magazine, but if you wanted to do something where there's some sort of story that we can develop or whatever, I said I'll do that as long as it's reasonably priced and everything. And then if I get a lot of traffic because of that story, article, whatever, then I'm game. Like, then you've convinced me. But I have a hard time signing up for something for a year commitment or 2-year commitment, something like that. When, again, going back to me personally, was plenty busy with what I was doing on Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat.
Yep. I didn't want anymore. Yeah.
And it wasn't that I didn't want it anymore. It was just that, okay, well, I mean, I'm gonna have to sign a lease for another 3,000 square foot shop. Like, and I just got into this one. You know what I mean? Like, it was just building up so fast. And so I'm always a big fan of like, okay, well, let's test it out and see if the ROI is actually there. But if it's not, then I mean, you can't. You can't do it.
And it's
until you get to a certain point where it's kind of like, you know what?
It's
a couple $100. We'll just get it out there.
Well, I don't even know if that marketing.
I was gonna say,
even the big systems, or bigger businesses we have in this town, they don't run that way either. I mean, they still need to see an ROI, no matter what size of business you really are. I mean, brand awareness, and there are some brand awareness campaigns that we run and do too. But it is. We also understand too, like, okay, it's not working. Why is it not working? Is it not the right fit? And we kind of, we give a lot of free marketing to our clients, probably way more than we should have, because that's just who I am. And I care about our clients more than just, All Americans, one of our clients, and they moved into their brand new facility. You didn't see me posting on Facebook, but when the day they were moving in, I was there bringing other staff pizzas and supporting. I mean, it's the extra step that goes a long ways for them too. And so it's like, if this isn't working, let's revisit it and see what we need to change. Do you need to do some different content? Do we need to change up your ad? We had one, they're like, we just aren't seeing it. I'm like, he's like, we haven't seen any come in on this birthday coupon. I'm like, because you don't have a coupon on your ads. So we really work close with our clients to make sure that their plan's executing lots of content, lots of educational articles, or the directory ones. Those are just places they need to be, because it makes sense. And we work with a select niche of clients too. We're not to the masses. We're not a perfect fit for everyone.
Yeah, and I feel like that's probably more a strength than it is anything else.
It really is a strength, because by narrowing in on our niche and saying, parent, family focused, and we have a big boom of a lot of family businesses opening up in 2020 in Sioux Falls. There's a lot of them coming in. Will we work with all of them? Probably not. But they do see the return once they get into a camp issue, the holiday gift guide, a birthday issue, and probably this other one we're going to announce. We build that relationship. We start that foundation, and, we keep going. Yeah, a simple ad, do they always work? No, they don't, depending on what it is. Like, we work a lot with some one-day big events, because they're going to get an ad in print. They're going to get it highlighted in our calendar as a big spot. We're sharing it via social media the week before, the week of. I mean, we're not just giving them, here's your ad. And we understand that as a business too. That's not how it works. You have to give your clients just more.
Yep.
I think one of the things that Hood has always done really well, that I think a lot of other business, like marketing type businesses, can learn from, is that it's all about the good relationship, which, I mean, you've talked about a lot, but it's building that trust, and it's building the really understanding what that business's needs are, right?
Yes.
So, there's a big difference between understanding that a business doing a single
one-off
run,
isn't going to do them
right?
anything.
Like, that's just never been a thing. Like, you don't try to go out and sell and get somebody to pay a couple $100 for one quarter page ad at a magazine, because they will never, ever, ever see a return from one single page ad in a magazine. That's just not how it works. Just like in radio, the best radio people that I ever worked with over the years were the ones that wouldn't ever allow me to take the cheap option that I wanted to have. They didn't just say, well, we don't do that, and like put me down for thinking that, well, this is all I can afford. It was, okay, if that's your budget, let's figure out how we can work that into what we can do. But we're going to stay consistent for a week and hit it hard for a week then, or we're going to do whatever, because they understand you have to build those relationships, and it has to be consistent over time. We're going to do the same week every month, for 6 months or whatever. And we're just going to, if you can only afford to do 1 week, then we're going to afford to do 1 week, and we're not going to do one ad, so I think relating it back to you, like, only doing one ad every 6 months isn't going to do any business any good. And of course they're not going to get anything out of that. And I think that that's something that a good advertiser or a good salesperson is going to understand, that, I'm not going to allow you to do just one. Yes, that's money in my pocket, but it's not doing the business any good. And in the long run, you're hurting your own business by just taking money from people. That's not going to give them any benefit, because people talk. And
I think that goes back to our summer camp issue, though. We do have a couple niche ones that you couldn't get by with just one, because it's very detailed focused only about summer camp. So if you only,
but that's a resource kind of a thing.
Right, it's a resource type of thing, where it's niche focused, where you are okay with a one-off because it's very specific to it. But some of them don't see the value in that either. So
I feel like that's a totally different situation, because that is what's happening there is you have however many subscribers, which you can prove to people that you have those subscribers. You say, this is something that 75% of our readership, like, they wait for this issue because they want to know where they're going to send their kids to summer camp. So that's an ad, but that's a one-time ad, but it's an ad that the parents are actually expecting. It's like the Christmas
Yeah.
the Christmas ads
Yeah.
that you get for Black Friday or whatever.
No, there are parents who give the kids a summer camp guide, say go through circle. I mean, this is like literally parents telling me this. Go through, circle what camps you want, and then we'll narrow it down to the ones that we can afford or the weeks that I mean, and we listen to them and we ask what do you want to see on it? What are the things you'd be a resourceful use for you? And then we learn, like you said, okay, we have to have them on our websites. And that was all Jacqueline on my staff. She's been pushing me hard left and right on that stuff. And she was like, we have to have them up there because then we can put them up there. It's added value. Everything's added value too.
Yep.
What is that added value going to be to them? And so, there's a lot that goes back to that too.
Yeah.
So it just depends. But it is interesting. It is. Print is a stigma of, is it going to stay around? Is it always going to be here? I think it is personally because even if you watch the trends like records, they went away and now they came back in a new way.
Mm.
So, because when 10 years from now, when nobody's had some of this stuff, it's going to come back around because it's going to be new again.
Mm-hmm.
Like bell bottoms. They're coming back around again.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Just
All right.
saying.
On that note,
note,
we actually are in the last couple of minutes of the show, so
Flies
Wow.
it went by
doesn't it?
fast.
Wow. Told you I could talk and talk.
It's all right. I didn't have to work as hard.
I
So-
know this is why we do go out on TV a lot too and talk about them. And they say, we love it when you come on because we don't have to worry. Like, we know you're going to fill those 3 minutes and then some.
So, last couple of minutes of the show, tell floor is yours. Like, what are you doing right now? What do you want people to know about the whole 5 people that are watching?
Sweet. High five, people. Thank you for watching.
I know. I'm just
I'm also very gullible. So, like, I would be like, really?
yeah. There's
Great.
yeah.
Great. He could have said there's 10,000 people. I'd been like, really? Just it's so hard. Like, relationships are so important. And so we just really try to strive to people that when they're working with us, you're getting more than just, here's your ad. That's not who I am. I can't sleep at night. I want to help your business grow. So if that means exactly what you said earlier is let's find a plan that helps your business grow. And so when you are working with any media outlet, whoever it may be, just make sure that they also have your company's interest best at heart and not just you.
Mhm.
And that's something that I do. I look at what's best for the client, and it may not always be what's best for me, but I know at the end of the day, Shelly said too, it also gets around. Like, she truly cares. Some of our clients all come from referrals of other clients because they're like, you need to work with them.
Yep.
So, and just building up a good team that can help you with that.
To quote the great show Letterkenny, bad gas travels fast in a small town.
It does.
What show?
Letterkenny.
I didn't know what
Never
she was
heard
talking
of
about.
it. What
I
is
knew his
that?
quote meant something important, but I have no idea what he was talking
I
about.
have no idea. What you're
Maybe
talking
we're
about
too
either.
Just
old.
no. Letterkenny is something I just kind of started watching. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I watch it on and off, but it's just so funny because there's so many things that I've picked out in that show that are like small town, rural. It's based in Canada, and like an interaction that happens all the time in the show. And I realize this is the last couple of minutes of the show. I'm sorry that we're wrapping it up basically
Squirrel.
with a show.
Squirrel. Yep.
But one of the interactions that happens constantly on that show that I think is just hilarious because I didn't realize how often it happens in South Dakota is when they greet someone, they say, hey, Steff, how's it going? Good, and you? Oh, not so bad. Like, that is like 70% of the way the conversations
yeah.
start in South Dakota. And I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even realize that. Like, how do people even greet other people anywhere else in the entire United States?
It's different. Yeah.
Like,
That's why everybody loves the Midwest people. We're so
need to get out more,
nice.
Adam.
yeah. All right. Well, it was great having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Anything
on.
else that you want to tell?
They should just go read the hoodmagazine.com.
Hood Magazine.
.com or Family Fest SF for
All right.
families or Midwest Monocle Editions, the Monocle magazine. So
Midwest Monocle Edition.
Medical. You were like Amico Monocle.
Right. Like,
It's
what is
Midwest
it?
Medical Edition.
I am not a professional.
That's
This
okay.
is not a professional podcast. So
What?
so I'm just throwing it out there. We're
I don't
allowed
know-
to slip
I don't know
up.
if I can continue with this.
Yeah, okay. Well, you can just interview people from now on. I'll just stand back and just be the I
I
don't
can
know.
talk.
Make the sound
What?
effects.
Do you really want that? I can imagine what those are going to be in the microphone because there's only so many. So many sound effects you can make in a microphone.
All right. Well, Shelly, do you go ahead and do your.
So it's time to sign off for this week. And with that, we will end with peace out, Brussels sprout.
Peace out, Brussels sprout. All right. See you later, everyone.